Hey everyone, Couch Investor back to another earnings video. So in today's video, we're going to talk about Block, Square, however you want to call the company today. Now at the time of making this video, the stock is down around 6 to 7% or so. But in my eyes, this quarter was another good quarter for the company. And as I said from the start, Square has a huge advantage because going into the pandemic, the seller side took a hit, but the Cash App side has grown tremendously. Now, going out of the pandemic, the Cash App side obviously had a little slowdown, but the overall business had a huge push because the seller side of the business has grown tremendously coming out of the pandemic. Those businesses have adopted more digital ways to operate their business. So that's why the company, unlike other companies that are online only, has performed much better. It's very, very important to know about the Square ecosystem or the Block ecosystem. Square, Afterpay, Cash App, the crypto side, which is still tiny, very, very small actually. It's very important to know how that worked. I covered the Analyst Day a couple of months ago, I think 2 months ago or so. That video will be in the top right corner if you're interested in that. All the other videos with regards to earnings are also available in the top right corner. Make sure to watch those if you're interested in those companies. But this video, let's focus on Block. But before I do so, if you want to support this channel, obviously do subscribe to the channel. Hit that thumbs up button if you like these videos. And if you want to support me, you can check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment to get the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor and make sure to check out all the other links in the pinned comment. Some of them might actually save you some money. So, the report. All right, so first up, the highlights as always. So gross profit keeps growing quite nicely, 29% year over year to $1.47 billion. On a 3-year CAGR, that's still very, very nice, in line with all the other quarters there, 47%. By the way, overall, they beat on earnings per share and revenue, so good on that. And even quarter over quarter here, they grow nicely there, so there's no real slowdown in my eyes in gross profit. Net income, still a loss, negative $208 million. We're going to talk about that a bit later. Square gross profit grew quarter over quarter and year over year, now up 29%. On a 3-year CAGR, it's up 30%. As for Cash App gross profit, same thing here, has grown 29% year over year. And on a 3-year CAGR, still very high, 88%. As for adjusted EBITDA, we're still around those $185 million, so not much has changed there. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit because now for the first time actually they are reporting the, including BNPL, so Buy Now Pay Later platform, Afterpay, and excluding. So as reported, those are the numbers you've seen above, but you exclude the Buy Now Pay Later platform, and gross profit for Block grew 16% year over year and 42% on a 3-year CAGR. For Square, 16% again year over year, but 25% on a 3-year CAGR. And then for Cash App, 15% year over year and 82% on a 3-year CAGR. It's just a nice thing to know. Because as they mention here, Afterpay omnichannel consumer have transacted more frequently and spent 3 times more than single channel consumer in 2021. Again, it's all about the ecosystem. We've talked about that with Fiverr. The more options they have, the more things they adopt, the higher the take rate. Here with Cash App, with Seller, which is Square, with Afterpay, you see what happens. Now, as for Square GPV mix by seller side, by the way, in the first 6 months of 2022, GPV from Square for restaurant sellers more than doubled compared to the same period last year. So again, reinforcing my point I said at the start, seller side, very, very important here and a huge bonus for them coming out of the pandemic. So this has grown 39%, the Square GPV mix by seller side. It has grown quarter over quarter as well. Now, the bigger side here has grown quite nicely, which is the most important one because you want to move up market, as they're seeing right here. They say here that the segment for mid-market seller is up 24% year over year. Now, as for internationally, always good to know, still extremely small. As you can see here, only 13% of Square gross profit is internationally, $98 million. I believe last quarter was, I can't remember, and honestly, it's I think 11 or 12% or so. So a nice little growth there, maybe even 9%. Can't remember. If you know, leave it down in the comments below. Now, as for Cash App, we finally have another little update on the numbers. So they say here that in June, there were 47 million accounts that transacted on Cash App with increasing weekly and daily actives. So now we know 47 million accounts. Good to know because they don't always give us that number, which is sometimes a bit annoying. Because now they give us something new, which is Cash App Borrow actives. The first time they actually show us this, usually they show us or the actives or the cash card. Now we have a new thing right here, which I promise you that in the next quarter, we won't even see this one. So what does a Cash App Borrow active mean? They say it right here. It's an account which had an outstanding loan in a given time period, excluding customers who are over 30 days past due. So as you can see, really big increase here. Now, as for Cash App, since I don't live in the US, I do have the app on the phone, but well, I can't do anything with it. So they say here with commerce, obviously if you're using Cash App, do give your thoughts in the comments below. So they have been making some moves with commerce, which is nice to see. As you can see here, some offers, some advertising here and there. This is from Afterpay as well, but incorporating it with Cash App, which is great to see. Now, talking about Cash App, Afterpay, the whole ecosystem, we've talked about advertising in the past and how that could be very lucrative for the business. So someone sent me this job offer, which shows that, well, Block is looking for a head of advertising strategy and partnership. This is to set the strategy to scale the global advertising business across Cash App, Afterpay, and Square, utilizing powerful ad tech and channel partners. Now, this is obviously probably something that they still have to work on and will take a while, but it really looks as something promising and something that, well, it's a no-brainer, to be honest. When you have such a great ecosystem going into advertising, it's like the promoted gigs on Fiverr. It's something that's in the ecosystem already, but will add some, let's say, a couple of basis points here and there, maybe percentage points in the longer term. And now revenue and gross profit. So total revenue was $4.4 billion in the second quarter. That's down 6% year over year. Okay, market slowdown, etc. This number to me is still good enough, but this is driven by a decrease in Bitcoin revenue as well. Again, Bitcoin revenue here, it sounds like a lot, right? You can see Bitcoin revenue was $1.79 billion. So wow, huge number, but this is down 34%. And then Bitcoin gross profit is still nothing, right? $41 million or only 2% of Bitcoin revenue. So I never really look at that because as you can see here, excluding Bitcoin, total net revenue in the second quarter was $2.62 billion. That's up 34% year over year. And gross profit was $1.47 billion, and that's up 29% year over year and up 47% on a 3-year CAGR basis, and included $18 million in amortization of acquired technology assets. Now, in the second quarter, the Buy Now Pay Later platform, basically Afterpay, that contributed $208 million of revenue and $150 million in gross profit. Excluding Bitcoin and the Buy Now Pay Later platform, net revenue was $2.41 billion, up 23% year over year and up 32% on a 3-year CAGR basis. Now, as for gross payment volume, overall, 92% is Square GPV, $52.5 billion, and only 8% is Cash App Business GPV, and that's actually down quarter over quarter and a bit down year over year. But we knew this was going to happen coming out of the pandemic, no PPP loans, etc., and also less transactions with Bitcoin, because when in the bear market, nobody really likes to buy stuff. And again, this shows you things a bit better. You can see a PPP loan forgiveness revenue, 2021, 15 million, 2022, only 9 million. So they're bound to take a little hit from that. Not big, pretty small. Overall, it's not really that material for the long term. And the same story goes here. Inflows per transacting active were just over $1 billion in the second quarter, relatively stable on a quarter over quarter basis, despite a greater impact from tax refunds in the first quarter 2022. On a year over year basis, inflows per active were down 11%, primarily as a result of government disbursement in the prior year period that did not recur in 2022. Now, I skipped through the software, the subscription services, etc., because I do think that this is a bit more important. But if you want to know, it keeps growing quite nicely, nice profits there, because yes, Square Block is hardware and software as well. Now, as for earnings, as we said before, net loss $208 million, which, as you can see, was impacted by $57 million of amortization of acquired intangible assets and a $36 million of Bitcoin impairment loss, which is big on this, let's say, relatively small-ish number, and $17 million in deal and integration related expenses. Excluding all of these, net loss would have been $98 million. So there is that, I guess. Again, this is what happens when you have too much Bitcoin on your balance sheets. Well, you have to take a hit, but again, it's not that important to the long-term future of this company unless they make it all about Bitcoin. Because right now, as we've seen in Investor Day, the crypto-related stuff is only 3% of the overall expenses, which I found out to be quite okay. Now, as for the balance sheet, they entered the second quarter with $6.8 billion in available liquidity, with $6.2 billion in cash, cash equivalents, and restricted cash, and investment in marketable debt securities, as well as $600 million available to be withdrawn from our revolving credit facility. So, plenty of cash in case they need it. Additionally, they had $1.5 billion available to be withdrawn under their warehouse funding facilities to support funding of growth in our consumer receivables related to our Buy Now Pay Later platform. Now, I do want to show you something with regards to goodwill, because since we've seen that with Teladoc and Livongo, I need to show you what Square could maybe potentially announce in the coming quarters, which is goodwill, of course. You look at total assets, you look at goodwill, 1/3 of it is basically goodwill. So to me, it's just a matter of time until we might have this one-time impairment charge. I don't know when that will happen, but if it's this high, it should happen in the near-term future, in my opinion. Now, as for the July trend and forward-looking commentary, so as always, they give us a little bit of information with regards to Square's ecosystem and the Cash App one for the month of July. Square GPV is expected to be up 18% year over year, and on a 3-year CAGR basis, GPV growth is expected to be 23% in July, consistent with 23% growth in this quarter. Now, Cash App in July, they expect Cash App gross profit, excluding Afterpay, to grow on a year-over-year and 3-year CAGR basis, driven by growth in monthly transacting actives, engagement across the ecosystem, and inflows into Cash App. They're not telling us a percentage here. Now, as for the expenses for the third quarter of 2022, they expect non-GAAP operating expenses across product development, sales and marketing, G&A, etc., to increase by approximately $75 million compared to the second quarter, which is surprising because every other company is cutting expenses. They are increasing here. Excluding the contribution from Afterpay, they expect to increase overall non-GAAP operating expenses by approximately $65 million compared to the second quarter. So overall, to me, it's a good quarter, right? I don't see any red flags, especially in the current market environment. I think the company is pretty strong. If they can perform like this in a very, very unstable macro environment, high inflation, etc., imagine what they could do in a normal market. So to me, still keeping my position. I might actually add if the stock continues to go down. Well, I say continues, but it's just down after hours. So it remains to be seen how this opens tomorrow. Again, I like the company. I like the future for the company. Well, the predicted future for the company. Obviously, do share your thoughts down below. Do you still hold? Did you buy more? Leave it all down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, maybe hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.